and welcome to the Blindfold Chess Podcast.
This week, we are looking at the strongest woman of her time, the winner of the first International Women's Chess Championship, the first woman accepted to the Bristol Chess Club, and the first woman to be the main player of a simul, Mary Rudge. Mary was born in 1842 and learned how to play chess from her older sisters and her father. During that time, she was developing a positional play style that contrasted from the bombastic style of romantic play that the era was known for. However, her chess career didn't take off until she was in her 30s. In 1872, she competed in her first chess tournament, the Dublin Male Correspondence Tourney. For correspondence chess, you would write a move on like a postcard, mail it, wait for their response to be mailed back to you, then you'd write another postcard with your next move. These tournaments would sometimes take years to complete. In that tournament, she finished in a tie for second with William Gunston, one of Cambridge's strongest players, winning the event. His only loss in that tournament was to Mary. Separately, in 1872, about 90 miles south of her hometown and Leominster, at the Bristol Chess Club, they were holding a vote to allow women to play in their club. John Burt, one of the predominant members of the club, is cited as saying, quote, "All creeds and classes should be dropped at the chess room door, and one and all meet at Caisa's temple on an equal footing." End quote. Caisa is the fictional patron chess goddess created by an English poem in 1763. John Burt proposed that, quote, "ladies should be admitted to the club as associates at an annual subscription of 5 shillings, which was agreed to by the club. We believe that no members of the softer sex were admitted as subscribers by any chess club in this country prior to this date." End quote. Burt then proposed that Mary be admitted to the club. After a ballot, she was formally admitted into the Bristol Chess Club, becoming the first woman to join the formerly all-male organization. The Bristol Chess Club was always on the progressive side. In 1859, they voted to forbid smoking in the chess club room, which was 130 years before it was formally banned by FIDE. Mary stayed in Leominster with her family until her father passed away in 1874. She then moved to Bristol with her sister to be closer to her brother and the club. In 1874, she competed in her first over-the-board tournament in Birmingham. She was not placed in the ladies section. Rather, she was put in the Class II division, being the only woman in that division. She did not win the tournament, but her presence made a splash in the chess community. In 1875, she was the only woman competing in a simul against Joseph Blackburn, and the following year she was again the only woman competing in a simul against Johannes Zukertort. During this time, she was performing well and garnering a strong reputation, but that alone does not pay the bills. While in Bristol, she, her sister, and her brother started the Locombe House Preparatory School in 1877, which did not allow Mary to spend a ton of time on chess. The school did well to start, but by the 1880s, it had to be shut down, leaving her family once again in a financial bind. When her family school shut down, Mary made the pivot back to chess, with quite a bit of movement for women happening around her. The first women's chess club opened in 1881, and the first official women's chess tournament took place the year prior in 1884. In 1887, she played on board 6 in the Bristol versus Bath tournament, featuring 13 boards. She won her game, which was enough for Bristol to win the match 7.5 to 6.5. 2 years later, in 1889, she participated in the Bristol and Clifton Challenge Cup in the top division, with Mary emerging as the tournament winner. This was unprecedented for a woman to win the club championship. The Bristol Chess Club then raised money from its members and the local community for her to go on tour and play in tournaments in the surrounding region. Being in her upper 40s and unmarried, Mary had very little access to income, so this was a major financial lifeline to her. In late 1889, the Bristol Club organized a 6-person simul where Mary would play against all of her opponents at once, becoming the first woman to ever lead a simul, and she won all 6 games. The next year, she went to Dublin on tour, playing in 2 different simuls, losing a total of 3 games across her 2 events. The media was saying that she was the strongest female player in the world and giving her nicknames like the Giant Killer. This was at a time where most women were just starting to be allowed into clubs. Then you have Mary, who was on tour, being the main attraction of these different events. In 1890, she was invited to play in the Armstrong Cup for the Irish Clontarf team. Her aid helped the team win by 1/2 of a point for the team's first ever Armstrong Cup victory and Clontarf's only team victory for the next 60-plus years. That same year, she traveled to Cambridge and competed in the Ladies' Challenge Cup and the Class II Counties Chess Association tournament at the same time. Since the ladies' division was smaller, those games could be scheduled around her Class II games. From what I've read, she would play a morning game against her Class II opponent, immediately move into the ladies' tournament, win that game, then go back to her Class II tournament for the evening game. That is absurd. She won the ladies' division in clear first, and she placed in third in the Class II division. In 1895, she became an influential figure in the founding of the Ladies' Chess Club of London. In 1896, she played in the Southern Counties tournament in the Class II section, finishing in a tie for first place. In 1897, she participated in the first International Women's Chess Championship, taking place in London. It was organized to celebrate Queen Victoria's 60th anniversary of her accession. 20 women participated in the event from more than 5 countries. Mary finished the 19-round event with 18.5 points, finishing 3 full points ahead of second place. In her first international tournament for women, she completely crushed her competition. They didn't have the title of world champion back then, but people took her to be the strongest player in the world after this showing. Her reputation was so strong that the following year she played Emanuel Lasker, the reigning world champion, in a simul in 1898. Since Rudge's solid style caused the game to go on for quite a while, Lasker was having a train to catch, and rather than declaring the unfinished game a draw, which was the norm or the standard back then, Lasker resigned the game to Mary, saying that with perfect play, Mary would win. Having a woman defeat the sitting world champion was also unheard of. After this event, her life in the spotlight began to diminish. From the turn of the 20th century, her tournaments began to slow down, and she began to play in only more localized events. Being unmarried in her 60s and 70s, with no stable form of income, she became a companion to elderly women. It didn't pay well, but it provided her with a place to stay and a stable enough income. In 1912, she made the move from Bristol to London as her health declined, before she passed away in 1919, having made her mark on the chess world with her style of play, her trailblazing efforts for women, and her ability to soundly defeat anyone who stood in her way. For our game this week, we're going to go back to the Armstrong Cup of 1890. W. Cooke versus Mary Rudge. Now, if we're ready, let's begin.
1. Pawn to e4. Pawn to e5. Two, knight f3. Knight c6. Three, pawn to d4.
Today's game looks at the Scotch opening. It is a super popular opening that offers a positional imbalance right away. White is gaining control of the center by offering to exchange the pawn, but by putting the knight on d4, Black gets some rapid development by being able to target it.
Pawn e captures d4. Four, knight captures d4. Bishop c5. Five, bishop e3. Queen f6. Six, pawn to c3. Knight g to e7. Seven, bishop b5. Castle kingside. Eight, knight captures c6.
After White played knight captures on c6, Black has the option to play queen captures on c6, the d-pawn capturing on c6, the b-pawn capturing on c6, or the knight on e7 capturing on c6. Which one would you do and why?
Pawn d captures c6.
Capturing with the pawn is the right idea. The d-pawn is slightly better than the b-pawn since it is opening the long diagonal for your light-squared bishop that is on c8, and capturing with the pawn puts pressure on the bishop that is on b5. If you had decided to play queen captures on c6, you would lose your queen from that bishop that is on b5, and if you captured with your knight, then you would have left your bishop on c5 undefended.
Nine, bishop captures c5. Pawn c captures b5. Ten, knight a3. Rook e8. 11, pawn to f3.
White played the move pawn to f3, defending the pawn that is on e4. What would happen if White were to capture the free pawn that is on b5 with the knight? This would be a blunder, as Black could play queen to c6, threatening both the bishop on c5 and the knight that is on b5.
Knight g6. 12. Castle kingside. Queen g5. Bishop f2. Bishop e6. Knight c2. Rook a to d8. Knight d4. Bishop c4. Rook e1. Knight f4. Bishop g3. Pawn to c5. Pawn to b3.
After the move pawn to b3, you are attacking white's knight that is on d4, but your bishop on c4 is also under attack. Would you capture on d4, retreat your bishop, or do something else?
Knight e2 check. Rook captures e2. Bishop captures e2. Queen captures e2. Pawn c captures d4. Pawn to f4. Queen c5. Bishop f2. Queen captures c3.
After all of those fireworks, black is up a passed pawn and an exchange.
Rook d1. Pawn to d3. Queen f3. Queen c2. Bishop captures a7. Rook a8. Bishop d4. Rook captures e4.
After capturing the pawn that is on e4, black's rook is threatening the white bishop that is on d4, but it can also be captured by the white queen that is on f3. What happens if white plays queen captures on e4? If white plays queen captures on e4, black has queen captures on d1 with check, forcing the king to f2, and black can quickly liquidate into a winning endgame by playing queen to e2 check. The queen on e4 captures on e2, then black plays pawn on d3 captures on e2, and then the white king on f2 would capture on e2, and then the rook that is on a8 would capture the loose pawn on a2 with check, leaving black with a winning endgame.
(27) Queen captures d3. Rook e1 check. White resigns.
Why did white resign in this position? This is a great overload chess tactic. The white rook on d1 is protecting the back rank and the queen that is on d3. By having black play rook to e1 with check, white must play rook captures on e1, allowing black to win the newly unprotected white queen that is on d3. As a woman in the Victorian era, she defeated the sitting world champion, won the first women's international tournament in convincing fashion. Her community rallied behind her to give her the financial support that she needed to go on tour. She pioneered a space for women in the chess scene that allowed many others to follow in her path. Mary Rudge has left a very strong and lasting impression in our game. So that is all that we have for this week. Tune in next time where we'll continue to work on our blindfold skills and look at another game of the Masters.